Hiya folks, you're very welcome along to this week's episode of John's Garage. And this week we are driving an under the radar classic is how I'm going to describe it. It's a BMW E34 535i. Now BMW fans, you'll know what this is, but for everybody else, it just looks like a kind of mildly warm, mildly sporty 5 Series BMW from about 1990. And that's kind of what it is, except it's not mildly sporty, it's very sporty, and it's very, very rare. This is rarer than an M5, okay, of this generation. So just to be clear, that's how rare we're talking here. Now we're very lucky. This is a 5-speed manual, 3.5 litre BMW straight 6. So we're talking proper classic BMW stuff here. Now, from my bit of research online, and I use the term loosely here, these are well priced. These have flown under the radar. So if you think about the E28, the Shark Nose 5 Series came before this. Very well regarded, very popular, commands strong values. The E39 came after this, and again, very highly respected, excellent car, no problems with that car. Again, they're commanding big values, but the E34 kind of fell in between the two. It's kind of disappeared, and all that's wrong is that it came between two great cars. It is a great car in its own right. So it's very well built, very, very nice to drive. Lovely analog feelings. We have none of the traction aids and all that. And when we get going in just a second, you know, it really is up to the driver, but there's a beautiful feel to this car. Now, everything about this car, personally, in my own mind, I describe as beefy. All the controls are beefy. You have good sturdy dials on the heater control. You have lovely slider controls, a couple of buttons, nice little trip computer, a beautiful grippy steering wheel, lovely shape to it. All the dials are nice and chunky, everything's nice and visible. But then you get outside the car, you have a beefy body kit, subtle, but it's strong looking. It makes the car look quite aggressive. You have chunky tires, chunky alloys, and these aren't big alloys, but you know by looking at them that these things are high quality and sporty. Interesting about the alloys actually fitted to this car, they have the original Michelin TRX tires fitted. For those of you of a certain generation, you will remember those, and remember they got really expensive and almost impossible to source, but this car still has them fitted, and it's a good set. And I know from speaking to the owner, they're looking to keep this car as original as possible, which means another set of Michelin TRX will go onto this car when the time comes around. They're quite expensive, very hard to source, so we'd be looking at about 500 euros per tire to keep them on it, and it's obviously 4 tires on it, so that's $2,000 for a set of tires. So you know, you got to think about those things when you buy a car like this, especially if you want this to be your daily car. And that's what this is for the owner. So the owner of this car had a choice. They could buy a new BMW 3 Series saloon and enjoy that, or they could go back a couple of years and buy an absolutely gorgeous BMW 535 that, oh my God, can shift. By God, can it shift. And not only that, it sounds flippin' awesome when it does it, as you could hear there. So that's one of the things I love about this car, is a straight 6 engine. I don't know what it is about them, but they sound absolutely beautiful. Well balanced engine, lovely aggressive tone to it, loads of torque. Like, the delivery of the torque here is really linear. It's right from the start all the way up through the rev range and up through all the gears. It's there, and it is well able to go. It's gorgeous. It's incredible to drive. And as I was saying there, this is the owner's everyday car, and he only bought this recently, okay? So that's the kind of car, kind of person we're looking at here. Somebody who really enjoys the car, really enjoys good build quality, solid engineering, and all that has to go with it. And this is also a family car, so we're not talking about somebody here with no kids. This is a family car, and what a family car to have. Like, if you had a choice between a new Corolla and this, it's kind of hard to make the choice to go with the Corolla. Now, I can understand why you would, but you know, this is a brilliant alternative to have. As I was saying though, this car to me is just summed up by the word beefy. It's strong, it's purposeful, it's beautiful to drive. That manual gearbox is absolutely gorgeous. You know you've put it into gear, you know when you've changed, you know because you can hear it, but it's a beautiful shift action, lovely light clutch, And it leads you into a false sense of security, because you think everything here is just a nice family car, but then you put your foot down and you go from fifth into third, and you realize this wall of torque hits you, and you realize you are not in fifth gear anymore. You have power, and you have that little miles per gallon dial, and BMW's wagging its finger at you, telling you need to slow down, buddy, or else you're going to have to fill up with petrol soon. It's not telling me anything else other than that. But anyway, what else do we need to know about this car? So built from about 1988, that's when the E34 came in, up to 1996. As I said, it fell between the Shark Nose and the E39, two brilliant cars, and it's kind of flown under the radar a little bit. These represent, though, for what they're offering, incredible value. You can drive this car every day, parts are easy to source, nothing is particularly difficult here. As I said, some things like the tires are expensive, but everything's available, and they're gorgeous, really, really good. Now, you do have to stay on top of maintenance with a car like this, but this leads me to an interesting point. I was making the comparison there to the Corolla, and so you could have a new Corolla or you could have something like this. But if you had the new Corolla, you're going to have a problem. Even if you maintain it to the highest of standards, it's still going to depreciate. Whereas you buy a car like this and maintain it properly, depreciation isn't really something you're going to have to worry about, because the values of these cars are only going to go one way. As I said, for what they represent at the minute, they're low. And that's going to change, because these cars, especially here in Ireland, can be imported, put on the cheap tax system. Soon enough, will probably not require an NCT, although I did say you have to maintain it absolutely perfectly. But they're going to represent serious value. They're seriously good to drive. They're an incredible kind of car. And I'm just stuck behind someone here at a junction. They'll head on in just a second. And yeah, I don't know what else really to say about the car other than listen to it. Just passing 50 miles an hour now. And 60 miles an hour just there. Herein lies the problem with this, because there's always a problem, folks. This car makes me really sad. Actually driving this right now, I'm loving it, my heart's racing, pulse is up, but I'm actually sad. And I'm sad because yesterday I saw the latest face of BMW, the XM, and I wanted to cry, because on my phone I had a picture of this. And I was looking at this and saying, that is a beautiful car. Use a sexist term, it's a manly car. It's strong, it's purposeful, it's sporty. And then I looked at the XM and I don't know, I wondered, had they done the same thing to the other side of the car? Because what I could see was awful. This car feels beautiful to drive. It lives up to BMW's moniker of the ultimate driving machine. It is, it's incredible. It's strong. The engineering in here is deep. It's not on the surface. There's actually good quality materials in this car. The leather, it's unworn. The reliability is there. I've seen the service history for this car. It's fully serviced from new by BMW. It's incredible condition. It's beautiful to look at. And then I look at what BMW is offering right now, and I'm just sad. Where on earth did it all go wrong? You know, where did it all go wrong? Because right now where I'm sitting, there's nothing wrong, it's all right. Everything is absolutely all right. And with that, the owner of this car has only recently imported it from the UK, so they did a big old search to find this particular car. And it being a sport model, again, very rare. It's a model in its own right, so just to be aware of that. But when it came to importing the car, this is probably the useful piece of consumer information for everybody listening. They had to get an agent to do it. So they found an agent that would pick up the car in the UK, bring it to Dublin Port, take care of all the paperwork, all the different things to import the car, and then delivered it to their door. And that company was eirtrans. And I'm mentioning them because the owner of this car said they made that process incredibly easy. and stress-free, okay? And they were very clear in their communications. They were very, very easy to deal with. And, you know, they literally dropped it to the guy's door after the final bill was paid for import charges. And they had it dropped to him 2 hours after that was paid, okay? So that's how quick a process we're talking here. A couple of days more so than a couple of weeks, okay? All that together. But as I say, the owner's really, really clear on this. And they've no business connection or anything like that to eirtrans. But the company eirtrans, the agent and transport company, made this an incredibly easy process. All the paperwork was done. It was all done right first time. It was all available and it was all communicated really well. And they were very clear that, you know, the communication and the clarity and the ease of process made this so much easier. So if anybody is looking for agent, I'm going to put a link to eirtrans underneath this video, and from the owner, they highly recommend you use them, that they were very, very good in this process, and it really made it the importation of the car. Since Brexit, it's all become a bit of a mess, but since Brexit, they've been handling these and handling them very, very well for people. So just thought I'd pass on that little bit of advice to people who are looking at importing a specialist car, something like that at the minute, okay? That noise. That, folks, thank you very much for this episode of John's Garage. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, I feel like I'm leaving on a sad moment. I'm not. I'm loving where I am, loving this car, but I'd love to know what BMW are thinking right now and what's going through their head, because this car is absolutely divine and beautiful to drive. Thank you very much for coming along. Don't forget to email me if you'd like your car to view or to appear on the channel. Don't forget to like, follow, and do all of that nonsense. I hate saying it, but do it all, please. It really does help out and lets me know how the channel is going. Thank you all very much, folks. Bye-bye.
Press it.
Press the stop button.
Square.